Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Sunday evening, April 21, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related questions that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can still see that the entire Atlantic basin is being dominated by a ridge of high pressure that's responsible for sending all of those easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. You can also see a broken red line right here stretching all the way from the eastern Caribbean into the northern portions of the North Atlantic, all attached to the area of low pressure right there to the north of the main development region. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see the area of low pressure that the trough is attached to, and we can also see the clouds associated with that trough spilling into sections of the northeastern Caribbean, so the Leeward Islands, sections of the northern Caribbean, getting in on some amount of overcast skies and isolated showers as we speak. And we can also see some activity associated with a cold front bring overcast skies and isolated showers to sections of the eastern United States and the Gulf of Mexico. You can also see a lot of activity taking place across the southern portions of the basin. Northern South America definitely getting in on the action. Panama, Colombia, Venezuela, sections of Suriname as well. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Sunday, April 21. It was stated that we would have received some morning rainfall across sections of some northern and eastern parishes in Jamaica, then spilling into sections of some central, western, and especially northern parishes in Jamaica during Sunday afternoon. And for your information, we know when we're talking about northern parishes, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey. So, Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex. So, St. Anne, St. Mary, St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall. So, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? As early as 6:50 a.m., the Cuban Doppler radar images were posted on our Twitter page. Keep in mind that they weren't only posted on our Twitter page, but our Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook page as well. On our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there. As you can see, these posts are made there during the day, and they're not necessarily made here on our YouTube platform at those times. So we can see that the Cuban Doppler radar images were posted at 6:50 a.m. highlighting some amount of greens, yellows, and even some oranges that represent light to moderate to even heavy rainfall right there off the north coast of the island. So we definitely got on some of the rainfall across sections of Portland, St. Thomas as well. And then by about 1:26 p.m. we saw the clouds building just as predicted across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes, more so across northern parishes in Jamaica. Then by around 3:01 p.m. it was posted again, the visible close-up satellite image of Jamaica, showing clouds bring overcast skies and rainfall to sections of Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne. Sections of Portland gotten under action as well. And we even have some of our followers confirming the rainfall in their area. We have full_R_face stating we're experiencing heavy rainfall here in Hanover. That was 5 hours ago. Then Louis Lou 2019 posted this 55 minutes ago, raining in Portland. Then we had _Ryan stating raining in Hanover. That was 2 hours ago. So we definitely confirm the rainfall across northern Jamaica. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can indeed see where majority of the rainfall for today was confined to sections of northern Jamaica, although we did indeed get in on some amount of isolated showers across some central parishes and western and eastern parishes. Majority of the cloud cover and rainfall was confined to northern Jamaica. And if we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, we can still see those milky whitish colors that represent cloud cover, especially across the northern portions of the island. And we can see that for the most part it is clearing out as it usually does at this time of day. Taking a look at the Cuban Doppler radar images, we can see the latest image showing the rainfall and where it's located. Those greens, yellows that represent light to moderate to even heavy rainfall off to the north of the island. Don't mind all of those colors that we see on land. All of that is associated with ground clutter. That's basically a glitch, so we're not getting in on that as we speak. Majority of that rainfall is out to sea to the north of the island right now. Taking a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology's accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours. This map does indeed paint a picture of where we had the rainfall today. It might not be 100% accurate in terms of the rainfall totals, as we can see here with the rainfall in millimeters, but where the rain fell looks to be accurate in a way. Sections of Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, sections of St. Mary, Poland, and sections of St. Thomas gotten on some of the action. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, it makes sense that the temperature in Montego Bay is cooler right now than in Kingston, considering the rainfall that they had. 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston right now. And by about 4 a.m. on Monday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we see Jamaica embedded in some slight yellow colors for 18th on Monday. That's actually 1 p.m. on Monday, and we see the slight yellow colors represented by what we see on the key on the right. That's representative of 1 degree Celsius above average temperatures. I know the average temperatures for the month of April across Jamaica are about the same as 88 degrees Fahrenheit. When we take a look at the thermometer, 88 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30 to 31 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Monday. As it relates to the dry air map, you can still see that the entire Atlantic basin is being plagued by dry air. The dry air is represented by what we see on the key at the bottom, the yellows, the oranges, the reds, the whites within those reds. And we see Jamaica getting in on some dry air, but we see some blues that represent some amount of moist air in the region, which explains the isolated shower activity that we got. But we're indeed grateful that 2 p.m. on Monday sees that Jamaica should be in the clear in terms of what's forecasted from the Sahara Desert. We know all the browns represent the Saharan dust, and we should start to see the dust plaguing sections of the waters of the Central Caribbean, starting to push westward, maybe even making it into the Jamaica area by mid to late week this week. Right now, majority of the browns that represent the Saharan dust are definitely plaguing northern South America and the eastern Caribbean. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we do see that for the most part the northern portion of the island should be getting on those lighter shades of blues that represent anywhere from 0 to 0.5 for meter wave heights, while the southern and eastern side of the island should be getting on those darker shades of blues that are representative of 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights. And that's because the winds for the most part will be strongest on the south coast with those brighter shades of greens that represent anywhere from 15 to 20 knots coming in from the east southeast for the most part, especially on the south coast. And we can also see those blues that represent the least amount of wind. So we could have all of that air piling up again across sections of some northern parishes in Jamaica. Those cumulus clouds in the low levels becoming rain clouds in the mid levels of the atmosphere, maybe even making it up into the upper levels of the atmosphere, becoming cumulonimbus clouds. And then we might have that upper level wind shear pushing all of that off towards the east northeast, in turn favoring more of the afternoon rainfall across sections of some northern parishes in Jamaica. And just for reference again, northern parishes, you know, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland. As it relates to what is being forecasted now, both of the maps from the Euro and the GFS are definitely showing some blues that represent rainfall surrounding the island. So you might have some rainfall meandering on and off the island tonight, or maybe anything, not anything at all. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Both the maps are showing rainfall. And what time is this? This is 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 4 a.m. Jamaica time. We see the blues that represent rainfall surrounding the island. Don't see much on land in terms of the consensus. So we'll see exactly what unfolds at that time. Either way, where we actually see the consensus now is about 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time. We start to see those blues, especially across northern Jamaica. So sections of Portland, St. Mary's, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, sections of maybe northern St. Elizabeth, northern Manchester, sections of Hanover might get in on the action. The Euro, as usual, is a bit more robust with the wear, but we do see those even greens and yellows across northern Jamaica right there. We'll see exactly what unfolds with that. We know when we're looking at these rainfall forecast 1 hour total maps, we have to look at where the consensus is. Where do both the Euro and the GFS models agree that it's going to be raining? And we see that for the most part it should be across northern Jamaica, and it makes sense because all of the air should be piling up across those spots. Even the accumulated precipitation forecast maps are showing that the most in terms of rainfall should be across northern Jamaica for tomorrow. Keep in mind that both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected across Jamaica from now up until 10 p.m. on Monday. Not saying that it's going to be raining all the way up until then, but these are the areas that are going to be picking up the most in terms of rainfall. And we see the wear. Definitely northern Jamaica for the most part. Euro showing up to 0.7 of an inch of rainfall, especially around the cockpit country area, up to 0.45 of an inch of rainfall, right there on the border of St. Mary and Portland. GFS showing up to 0.53 of an inch of rainfall across sections of maybe Trelawney and St. Mary. Either way, both maps are showing rainfall. And we're indeed grateful. We're in the month of April. We usually receive up to 114.75 millimeters of rainfall during this month. And that's almost 5 inches of rainfall. So we'll take all the rainfall that we can get to put some kind of a dent in the drought that some areas are currently experiencing. Alright, so that is it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So let us go back to the visible satellite images. So as stated, the clouds associated with the trough bring some amount of isolated showers to sections of the northeastern Caribbean. So sections of Dominica, Guadeloupe, Antigua and Barbuda, Anguilla, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, section of Haiti, the Dominican Republic got into some of the action today. We also saw some of the action across sections of Panama, Costa Rica, Colombia, Venezuela. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images that we just saw, we're going to be loading these images up from about 1:30 p.m. today. Let's see. Yes, 1:20 p.m. And we saw where we had that rainfall, definitely across sections of Puerto Rico right here. We might have had some amount of flash flooding taking place across sections of the US Virgin Islands as well. Sections of the British Virgin Islands got some of that rainfall too. And loading up to the latest radar images now as of 10 minutes past 7. Keep in mind that the time is now 15 minutes past 7. We can see that we still have some amount of rainfall plaguing sections of northern and eastern Puerto Rico as we speak, the US and British Virgin Islands, sections of the waters to the east and west of Guadeloupe, to the west of Dominica. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, I don't see much happening across Barbados right now, but we do see some isolated pockets of rainfall to the north of the island, pushing from east to west. As it relates to the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall right there across the western tip of Cuba, some rainfall across sections of Colombia, Venezuela, some isolated pockets of rainfall across sections of Suriname and French Guiana as well. If we take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we see those greens and even purples that represent below normal temperatures across sections of the southern and eastern United States associated with a cold front spilling into the Gulf of Mexico, but we do see anywhere from average to above normal temperatures as represented by those grays, yellows and oranges for sections of the Bahamas, sections of majority of the Caribbean in general, not to mention sections of Northern and South America. And if we take a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Monday, we do see the browns that represent the Saharan dust stretching all the way from Africa across the main development region into the Caribbean. So definitely sections of the Leeward and Windward Islands getting in on that vigorous plume of dust. Section of the ABC Islands, Northern and South America, Venezuela, Guyana, and that could definitely be causing some hazy skies and triggering some amount of asthmatic conditions or even sinusitis issues for some people in those areas. So try to take necessary precautions so that you're not that drastically affected. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we do see anywhere from these lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues that should be plaguing the Caribbean tomorrow. We know from what we see on the key on the bottom right, that's representative of anywhere from 0 to 0.5 meter wave height, going up to 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights as well. And that's because the winds, for the most part, are gonna be averaging anywhere where we see those bluish greenish colors, so anywhere from 5 to 10 to even 15 knots, gusting to 20 knots in some spots, coming in from the east for the most part across the eastern to the central and western Caribbean. And if we actually see, both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this, but in terms of the rainfall now, we're starting to see that we're getting in on some amount of rainfall across sections of the waters of the Gulf of Mexico, Florida. Not much whites and grays like what we saw a couple of days ago. Now we're starting to get in on some of the action there. You can also see some greens, some yellows, oranges and reds starting to plague the area. Keep in mind that both of these maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on a Monday, and we're definitely seeing that sections of the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, eastern Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico should be getting in on the action. Section of the US and British Virgin Islands still to be getting in on some of that rainfall. Anguilla, St. Martin, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, sections of Dominica. While those areas across the Windward Islands are definitely gonna be getting in on those very dry skies, not to mention the Saharan dust. But look right there across sections of eastern Guyana, Suriname and French Guyana, not to mention sections of western Venezuela, Colombia, sections of Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, El Salvador, sections of Guatemala, Honduras, and even sections of southern Belize. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this. I will know when they're in consensus like this, the chances of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for now. Thanks for watching.